right, here it is, folks. This is the Pyra slider. I had reached out to Sam and Michael, who are partners in creating this slider, to maybe see if I could obtain one just for review and then to send back to them, while at the same time entering the latest sign-up sale, or SUS. And what do you know? I won one of the green Pyra sliders. This is an aluminum shell with these really unique stainless steel plates. So Sam from 2EDC that created the Pyra started working on this in October of 2024. So right in the fall of last year, after tons of different iterations, design changes, functionality testing. It looks like, this was first released in April of this year. The first ones came out. Let's give it a listen here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. All right. So the moment people first got their hands on this after the first sign-up sale, it was like instantly this kind of mass hysteria to get a hold of one of these. And I still kind of sat back a little bit and let it play out to kind of see what came of it. And it was not going away. Sometimes, like I said, things ebb and flow. You see these come, you see them go, and you never hear about the slider again. Some people obtained it, some people didn't. And all they've done is grow, and the buzz has kind of grown and grown and grown. And so I was really lucky to get my hands on these. But I mean, they are, working together in a small kind of capacity. They're not a machine shop or anything like that. Two guys with day jobs, and they have just blown this away. So design-wise, one of the things that really caught people's eye was the screws on the top. Now, I've pulled a couple of my favorite sliders together to give you an idea of kind of how it compares, and design-wise, kind of what they did differently. Obviously, those screws on top, way different than anybody else. You can see most other sliders, and this is not to say that that's a bad thing. It's just how sliders have been done. Screws on the plates. That's always just kind of been the way. What I feel like with this piece is this is kind of the wrapped light plate effect, where these guys have had an ingenious idea. Screws on top, make it part of the design. As Sam said from 2EDC when I was talking to him, if screws are in the right place and done right, they can really kind of add a class kind of feeling to a piece. It can be part of the design instead of just a hardware that's required to make the piece work. And they definitely made it part of the design, and I mean, it looks gorgeous and really leaves the plates free to be machined exactly how they wanted it. Now I'm going to put a picture up here because I was really trying to figure out what what's going on in the plates. And what I saw was this kind of cross step between the stainless steel lines that they had machined into those plates. And fascinating. I don't know what tool they use necessarily to do that within the CNC machine, but it creates these kind of low friction, swooshy plates that move so incredibly well. This coating here I thought was maybe a Cerakote. Is a special, he said, type 2 anodization for aluminum. It's specific to aluminum, and you can see it almost looks like a coating. It's very interesting. Yeah, so let's compare it to a couple other sliders that I've got here for size. And you can see right there, this is my 2-click Peak from Magnus. It's almost the same size. A little thinner. Got the Kind Industries slider. So very thin. Here's the Delta from Novel Carry. The Unquiet Hands. It's kind of closest to this in terms of width, or height rather, I guess. And also kind of width. Here's the Swoop from Fidget Boy. Just about the same size as that. Obviously, the Swoop is thicker. So it's got plenty of competition. So let's answer some of the big questions. Is it worth the price tag? Now, some people are willing to pay exorbitant amounts for this slider when the going price is $350. All right. Now they only drop, I think on this particular drop, they did 12. Again, they are working at a much smaller scale. Nothing's mass produced. It's all very custom. So value is really in the eye of the beholder. It's not necessarily that I'm going to say, you know, these materials do not justify that price tag. It's aluminum, you know, but the care, the effort, the design, the craftsmanship, and work that went into this particular piece, it's kind of worth it. You know, I think it definitely is. Now, the Unquiet Hands went for about the same price. And this has Teflon plates and a titanium body. So that all depends on what you're willing to pay, what kind of experience you want, and if it's worth it for you to try. Sam said he was looking for something that could really do these 360 moves that he really wanted to feel in other sliders but wasn't necessarily getting. And that some of the edges, you know, on other sliders, it might feel a little sharper. So this fillet that they did to really kind of bring in those edges and almost make that kind of plateau shape, really took some serious design and some real time and patience to perfect. But I'd say they did it, most definitely. Now, we haven't taken it apart yet. You know, and I'd spoken to some other folks about this slider, and people that hadn't tried it who were saying, could it really be worth it? So sometimes in the communities there tends to be this kind of hive mind mentality where somebody says that something is awesome and no one wants to disagree or sound like they have bad taste or something, and so everybody just keeps saying, this is awesome, this is awesome, it's awesome, and more people keep buying it and trying it, and everyone's going, am I missing something? Because it's not as awesome as I thought it was going to be. And so there were a lot of these going up for sale on the secondary market. Some people were wondering, does that mean that they're not good? But everyone's saying it is. And people are paying crazy money for this. So was it just people being opportunistic because the market's hot for them right now and they could make more money? I didn't know until I got my hands on it myself. It's absolutely a fantastic slider. This is a fantastic slider. I kind of had the same feeling where I didn't know, am I going to get this and want to sell it? Not because I don't like it, but because it generates more money for me to be able to review more things. That's a very real kind of thing that happens when you get one of these. A piece that everyone's after is you've got a choice. Do you like it enough that you're going to keep it? And do you feel comfortable enough to use it because the value is so high? Sometimes that can create this kind of anxious situation where you want to play with the piece, but you don't feel comfortable doing it because you might nick it or ding it and end up devaluing it. So there's still a little bit of that I feel, but at the same time, I think it is something I want to keep in my collection. So now we're going to take a look inside here. So taking out the two screws here, remove that top. You've got a little sound deadener. Okay, so you can see these magnets are actually relatively small compared to some of the other sliders I've used. You've got that there stating that's Pyra shell, and then the screw holes for the plates themselves. Now I kind of thought that these were going to have like cylindrical posts coming off of them that this was screwing into, but it's just as simple. I mean, these are thin enough that it screws just directly into the same spot where the magnets are going in. So there you go. That is the Pyra with no sound deadeners. Like I said, ultimately not a huge difference. There is a little difference that I'm noticing now, but certainly not crunchy. More of a kind of a hollowness or something that you can hear within the shell without that dampener in there. So I'll be honest, folks, I think this holds a spot right next to the greats. We're talking about the wraps, we're talking about the Compiforms, and we're talking about Magnus. Those are kind of your main three, the big three. And I think the 2EDC Pyra sits right up there. That's, I don't say that lightly. I think this is really is a phenomenal slider. Incredible performance, incredible look, and a job well done. Folks, that is the Pyra from 2EDC. Thanks.